Hey guys, Ernie here and welcome to the Paleo Hiker MD channel. I was hoping to get outside today, but we have had a monsoon outside, so we're going to stay inside today. One of the things I'm wanting to do more here on the channel in this year is talk about survival and emergency preparedness. Did that a lot at the beginning of my channel, and we're going to start to go back over some of that stuff and add to the knowledge that we've already put out there. Today we're going to look at different options for emergency or survival stoves. There's lots of different options. There's pros and cons to each one. So stay tuned and we're going to take a look at them. Thanks for watching, guys. So like I said, there are a lot of options for emergency stoves. What I'm talking about an emergency stove is something that either you can keep in a bug out bag, you could keep it at home to help cook for your family, boil water, do whatever it might be. Any kind of stove that you would need to use in an emergency situation where there's theoretically no power and potentially no gas in your house to heat things with. So there's a lot of different options. We're going to look at wood burning stoves, solid fuel burning stoves like solid fuel tablets, gas stoves, and alcohol stoves. We're going to look at different ones that I have here, one at a time, and we'll talk a little bit about the pros and cons of each. So let's start with stoves that use solid fuel tablets. So both of these stoves are by a company called Esbit. Esbit makes very commonly available solid fuel stoves. I will put the prices of each of these down below. I know that I got this particular Esbit stove, which is kind of a classic Esbit survival stove. You can see here on the side for $3.95 at a military surplus. The way this works is it stores some of the fuels right inside, and to hold a cup on top you put the solid fuel right there and you just angle it like that. There we go. I didn't have it quite clicked on. So that is one form of Esbit stove. The other I have here is more of an Esbit kit. Okay, let me pull it out for you guys. Comes in a little stuff sack like this. Okay, top you pull off. As you can see, I've got plenty of Esbit fuel in here. This actually sits in my bug out bag right now. You put this on the ground and you put your Esbit cube right in the center there, okay? This sits right on top and you have a lid for it. Very compact, very convenient. Nice that it has its own windscreen built in. This one also has fairly good windscreen protection. It does have some gradations on the side, as you can see, which tells you how much fluid is in there. Has a nice top, very easy to deal with. I have a video on this particular stove way back in my channel with boil tests for how long it takes to boil water. And overall, I think it's a nice kit. It's not the cheapest kit in the world. And I think personally there's probably better kits out there for different types of fuel. The positives of these is that the Esbit fuel is very lightweight, inexpensive, and easy to carry. It also pretty much lasts forever as far as I'm concerned. One negative is that it can be hard to light. You can't light it with a ferro rod or something. You do need a flame like a Bic lighter or something like that to light it. So that can be a limitation, something to think about. So these are two emergency stoves based on solid fuel, in this case Esbit stove fuel. Those are definitely an option for you in survival. Next, we will look at alcohol stoves. Both of the ones that I have here are based on the Trangia Spirit Burner. You could use a DIY cat can stove, any kind of stove out there, but these particular ones I like because I feel like the Trangia stoves are more robust than some of the DIY ones. And in a survival kit where you're not necessarily always worried about weight, it's kind of nice to have something that's very robust. This particular stand I bought off of eBay. I'll see if I can find a link for it and leave it for you guys. It's very nice. It folds up. You can just take it apart. Okay, as you can see, it folds up into little individual parts and creates a triangle. The triangle itself, with no stove in it, is quite flimsy, but once you put the Trangia in it, it really stabilizes out, and it's very easy to put a can on top. This is one limitation of this particular stove. A small cup like this is very kind of top heavy. It'll fit. I mean, you know, you can get it, but you have to keep a really close eye on it. A little bit more advanced Trangia stove kit is this Trangia 27.3. I have a full video on this. It comes with a frying pan. My particular kit has a kettle in it, 2 cups, and the alcohol burner itself, as well as a windscreen apparatus and everything. I'll put a link up here for you guys for my recent review on this particular kit. The benefits of alcohol stoves are that the alcohol you can use, in particular something like denatured alcohol or heat, which is available at almost any Walmart. The heat in particular, because it's an automobile product, is available at a lot of gas stations, so you can very cheaply and quickly get gas for this. Now, of course, that gas is limited. You could easily run out, and that is one of the limitations of any gas stove in an emergency, something to definitely take into account. The positives are it creates very high heat very quickly in a safe environment. From the standpoint of gas availability, this particular type of gas is easy to find. It's also easy to store in very large quantities if you're worried about not being able to find any. So that's two options from the standpoint of alcohol-based burners for survival. The next option we'll look at is gas, in particular propane, canister stoves. There are a lot of different propane-based blends out there that come in these very standardized bottles. And you have tons of different options as far as the type of stove you can get. All of these stoves, whether it be something like this, which is the Jetboil Mightymo, which I also have a video on, or one of these, which is just a really inexpensive stove that you can get on Amazon for, I would say, anywhere from $5 to $10 or $12. These things work very simply. You just screw them on to the top of your fuel canister. Most of them will have some kind of supports that come up. This is the way that the Mightymo works. And most of them, a lot of them have an included piezo igniter. Turn it on, and there you go. You have easy, quick heat to do whatever it is you need from the standpoint of survival. The benefits of these type of stoves is that they are very lightweight. They're pretty bomb-proof. Even if the piezo igniter breaks, you can easily light it with a ferro rod or with any kind of a match or a lighter, any kind of a flame source. Again, these particular bottles are fairly easy to find. They can be somewhat expensive, and that is a limitation. I think that these are great for backpacking. They are a possibility from the standpoint of survival, especially for short-term survival. I think that you can have a couple of these canisters around at all times. I usually keep 6 to 8 of them around to have plenty of options. It allows you to have an easy source of heat that's lightweight, that's portable, that you can take anywhere with you. I think any of the canister-based stoves will work very well in the setting of survival as long as you're not looking at a long-term situation. Lastly, we're going to take a look at wood gasifier stoves, so-called biomass stoves. These are stoves that you can take pretty much anything out in your yard, small twigs, branches, pine cones, leaves, grass, whatever it might be, very quickly and efficiently start a fire and boil water very easily. These are both by a company called Solo Stove. This is a smaller one that I've had for about a year and a half, and this larger one, the Titan, I just picked up at Christmas because I had a buy one get one free, so I bought one for me and one for my son. These just very simply, there's really no moving parts. You just lift that up, build your fire on the inside. It's got a little grate on the bottom. I have already done a video on the smaller Solo Stove, and soon I'll be doing a review on the Titan, as well as the Titan 2-liter pot that goes with the larger stove. This goes right on top. You can't see it good, but you can basically get the general idea. The positives of these stoves is they are robust. They are easily stored away, made out of stainless steel. These things won't rust, they won't corrode. They're very hard to dent and ding. Whatever you might throw at it, it tends to take it pretty well. The biggest benefit of these particular stoves is that if you have any kind of ability to start a fire, whether it be with a ferro rod and a small tinder to make the actual wood inside of this catch, or just a lighter, which works extremely well, it is easy for you to get a repeatable source of fuel to make fires in an emergency. As you can see, this particular stove has gotten tons of use, and you've seen it quite a bit in my videos. I went ahead and bought the larger one because this gives me the flexibility to go with either my daughter or my son or even my wife on a trip and be able to carry just this. These also nest together. You can put them, they come with individual carry bags, but they nest together and you can carry them very simply. A negative of these is they are a little bit heavier than some of the other stoves, but I think you gain a lot from the standpoint of robustness. Being stainless steel, you can easily put this over an open fire as well. You can easily collect quite a bit of water. It's got a bail here that you can hang it over a fire if you want to. It's also easy to carry. So that's a look at two options. There's a lot of other options from the standpoint of biomass fuel wood-burning stoves. These are the two that I happen to like the most, and the company that I think makes the best gasifier stove from the standpoint of ease to get a fire lit as well as continuing it going. So that is a look at 4 different options from the standpoint of survival stoves. You've got solid fuel stoves, alcohol stoves, and cook kits based on alcohol stoves, in particular the Trangia that I looked at, propane or canister-based stoves, and wood-burning stoves. In particular, we looked at the Solo stove. So, which of these do I think is the best from the standpoint of survival? I think that's kind of a tricky question. I can tell you that in my bug-out bag for the family, I keep an Esbit stove. I think it's easy to use, I think it's easy to carry, and in a short-term situation, which is what my bug-out bag is really designed for, 2 weeks of survival type thing, it works very, very well. I can tell you this though, if we ever are having to leave this house for an extended period of time, there is a section of this shop that is specifically outlined with a crate right underneath it for stuff to throw in there and take with us. So it's kind of an extension of our bug-out bag. My wife knows where it is. She knows how to get the stuff together and throw it into a car if we ever need to leave. And that includes both of our Solo stoves. At the very least, the large one, but both of them if we can get it. I think the best survival stove is a Solo stove. And I don't just leave it in a bug-out bag because it's great to use here on the homestead if we need it in an emergency situation. For the most part, I think for some kind of a major issue, we will probably bug in. We'll stay right here. We have a pond stocked with fish. We have a pump that we can get fresh water out of. We have shelter with our house. We have a lot of supplies here as far as food goes, the ability to grow food, the land to grow food. We have area behind us to go hunting if we need to, and all the ammunition we need to get ducks and deer and whatever else we need from the standpoint of meat. So we really would stay here if we absolutely could. If we had to leave, then we would consider putting everything in the car and getting some of the stuff. We have a specific list of things that we would take with us, and I would recommend everybody do the same. So I guess the cheap answer is, if I'm bugging out for survival, I'm taking Esbit stoves and the wood-burning stoves. As always, I appreciate y'all tuning in to the Paleo Hiker MD channel. We are going to be starting a series this year on basic preparedness, basic prepping. I'm very excited about that. It's something that I was into for a long time and still am, but I have to go back now that we're in this new home and kind of create a new set of guidelines, a new plan, and we have a lot more storage area. I'd appreciate if you'd like and comment below. If you haven't subscribed, please click that button. It really helps the channel continue to grow and keeps us all motivated to keep making these videos. Stay tuned for more videos on all kinds of things here on the channel, including survival and preparedness. Thanks for watching, guys.